right. Are we good? Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to E-One Moli Energy. To begin, I'd like to recognize the Katzie and Kwantlen First Nations, on whose traditional and unceded territory we're gathering. We acknowledge them as the past, present, and future caretakers of this land. Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Eby, Minister Champagne, Minister Bailey, Chairman Chang, Mayor Rumi, Mr. Wilkinson, Mr. Beach, honored guests, and my colleagues here at E-One Moli Energy. It is my great honor to welcome you to today's event. Thank you so much to everyone for taking the time to be here today. My name is Frank So. I'm the Executive Vice President here at E-One Moli Energy. E-One Moli, also known in the battery world as Molicel, started in BC 46 years ago in 1977 and has operated on this site since 1987. We're a pioneer in lithium-ion cell technology, designer of high-performance electrical cells, and a mass producer with current production in Taiwan. Today marks the beginning of a very exciting future for our company, for the city of Maple Ridge, for BC, and for Canada. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to present our first speaker, Mayor Dan Rumi.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd also like to acknowledge that the City of Maple Ridge conducts its business on the traditional and unceded territory of the Katzie First Nation and the Kwantlen First Nation. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm here with my council colleagues, as well as the Mayor of Pitt Meadows, Mayor Nicole McDonald. I'd like to welcome Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Eby, Minister Champagne, Minister Bailey, as well as Chairman of E-One Moli Energy Canada, Nelson Chang, and Executive Vice President Frank So, and the representatives of E-One Moli Energy here today for this exciting announcement. E-One Moli has been a long-standing business in the city of Maple Ridge. When the facility opened up in 1990, there was a vision from the company that rechargeable battery technology would be an important component of the future. E-One Moli Energy, the federal and provincial governments, and the city of Maple Ridge are here today to continue with the success of this company. We're so proud to be sharing today's announcement. To E-One Moli Energy, we will continue to show you a strong vision in our community, and we will continue to support you in your vision for our community. We greatly appreciate the support of our federal and provincial partners, and thank you for being here today. We're excited to hear from you momentarily about your investment in E-One Moli and the impact that it will have on manufacturing that will help to support net zero technologies. The city has worked beside E-One Moli Energy throughout this process to support this investment, and will continue to be there as a partner well into the future. This investment in Maple Ridge will be transformative for our community. Locally, these investments will help secure existing and new jobs in a growing sector of our economy. This will make E-One Moli Energy the largest private sector employer in our community. I also want to thank the team at E-One Moli Energy for working closely with our council and key teams in areas like economic development, planning, and engineering, among others, at every step of the way. This strong two-way communication has allowed us to get to this point with great efficiency, and the city will continue to work collaboratively towards your opening date and beyond. The City and Council recently updated its strategic priorities and new brand identity. We are proud to be a city on the move, driven by community and bold by nature. This kind of strategic investment is the right time, the right place, and will help drive us forward. This is a great day and a historical investment in the city of Maple Ridge. Thank you, and now it is my honor to introduce the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau.
Thank you, Mayor Rumi. Thank you, Dan, for that great introduction and all your incredible leadership and the vision that you're sharing for Maple Ridge as being part of the future that Canada is building every single day. I am always happy to be back in British Columbia, a place that has long been a leader in understanding that growing the economy and protecting the environment have to go together. It's great to be here with our ministers, François Philippe, Jonathan, Terry, and our outstanding BC MPs to talk about what we're doing to keep our air clean and to secure good, middle-class jobs in a growing clean economy. Premier Eby and Minister Brenda Bailey, thank you for being here alongside some of your colleagues. David, we're here to talk about creating jobs and growing the economy, but we continue to collaborate on so many other issues as well, such as housing. This week, our government is unlocking loans to help build nearly 12,000 new apartments right across the country, including here in BC. But it's always great to see you, to work with you for the future of British Columbians and indeed all Canadians. I know from the years that I spent living out here and my deep roots in BC, you can see the future a little more clearly from BC than from just about any other part of the country. Nelson Chang, chairman of E-One Moli Energy, and all the great workers here at E-One Moli, thank you for being here, but thank you as well for the incredible work and efforts that got us to this place where we can make this exciting announcement that is going to be shaping not just the future of Canada's economy, but of the global economy. What you've been able to build here over the past decades is more relevant now than one could ever imagine, and is part of the exciting future we're building, and I'm really looking forward to talking about that. But first, I need to acknowledge and take a moment to recognize that the remains of Vivian Silver were identified yesterday in Israel. Originally thought to have been taken hostage, Vivian was killed by Hamas in the terror attacks on October 7th. Last month, I had the chance to meet with one of her sons, and I learned of her warmth, her compassion, and her lifelong commitment to building bridges between Israelis and Palestinians. Vivian dedicated her life to peace, and a bright light was extinguished on October 7th. Her courage, commitment, and compassion exemplifies what it means to be a Canadian, what it means to be engaged in the world in positive ways. She will be deeply missed. May her memory be a blessing. Today, I can also confirm that over 350 Canadians and their family members have now been able to safely leave Gaza. We're working tirelessly and will not stop until we're able to secure the departure of the remaining Canadians. Supporting Canadian citizens and permanent residents continues to be our top priority. And the human tragedy that is unfolding in Gaza is heart-wrenching, especially the suffering we see in and around the Al-Shifa hospital. I have been clear that the price of justice cannot be the continued suffering of all Palestinian civilians. Even wars have rules. All innocent life is equal in worth, Israeli and Palestinian. I urge the government of Israel to exercise maximum restraint. As the world is watching, on TV, on social media, we're hearing the testimonies of doctors, family members, survivors, kids who've lost their parents. The world is witnessing this, the killing of women and children, of babies. This has to stop. J'exhorte le gouvernement d'Israël à faire preuve de la plus grande retenue. La mort de femmes, d'enfants, de bébés doit arrêter. For weeks, we've been calling now for a sustained humanitarian pause and unimpeded access to humanitarian aid for Palestinian civilians. We're all deeply concerned about reports that the UN may not be able to provide continued assistance. And Hamas needs to stop using Palestinians as human shields. They need to release all hostages immediately and unconditionally. Hamas has said that they would commit horrors like October 7th over and over again. The same violent attack that killed so many civilians, including Vivian Silver. So right now, we need the violence to stop urgently so that Palestinians can get access to life-saving medical services, food, fuel, and water, so that all hostages can be released, and so that all Canadians and other nationals can leave Gaza. We hope that a sustained pause in the violence can help create the conditions for lasting peace. A peace where, through renewed efforts to achieve a two-state solution, Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in dignity and security. Et en terminant à propos du conflit au Proche-Orient, je veux revenir sur ce qu'on a vu ici, au Canada, dans ces derniers jours. Les attaques antisémites à Montréal, entre autres, sont absolument inacceptables. The terrifying acts of anti-Semitic violence in Montreal, my other hometown, or elsewhere across this country, needs to stop. No parent should ever have to tell their child that their school was shot at. No rabbi should have to explain to their congregation that their synagogue was attacked. Anti-Semitism in any form is unacceptable everywhere. The RCMP is collaborating with local authorities in Montreal and in Quebec, and we're ready to offer more resources. Dans ces temps difficiles, on ne peut pas oublier qui nous sommes, on ne peut pas oublier nos valeurs. On doit être là les uns pour les autres. In these most difficult of times, all Canadians need to remember who we are, what values we stand for. And regardless of the hurt and the grief that we may be feeling, we have to be there for our fellow Canadians. It's the only way we make through this, not just as a country, but as a world, by remembering who we are. It is great, really great, to be back here today in Maple Ridge. Today is an important day for the local community, for BC, and for the clean, strong economy we're building right across the country. E-One Moli has picked Maple Ridge to build a major lithium-ion battery cell manufacturing facility. This investment will create up to 350 great new jobs and secure over 100 existing positions. This is great news, but it's not exactly surprising news, because E-One Moli has been a long-time employer and leader here in Maple Ridge, indeed right across BC and Canada. So they know that the workers here are skilled, reliable, and always ready to step up and innovate. They know that BC has a clean energy supply, and that Canada has essential resources that go into clean tech like batteries. And they know that our government has been working hard since 2015 to build up a whole clean tech ecosystem, from investment tax credits for manufacturing to a critical minerals strategy to support for workers and their families, like $10 a day childcare and dental care. Les investissements qu'on fait depuis 2015 pour positionner le Canada comme un leader mondial de l'énergie propre vont assurer de bons emplois pour nos communautés et pour les générations à venir. Que ce soit avec E-One Moli, Volkswagen, Northvolt, Rio Tinto et plein d'autres compagnies, notre gouvernement est là pour travailler en partenariat, pour faire avancer les projets rapidement et pour attirer des investissements internationaux. Now, when conservative politicians continue to say that we have to pick between the economy and the environment, they just don't get it. They are stuck in the past. This new E-One Moli facility here in Maple Ridge will produce up to 135 million battery cells per year and become the largest factory in Canada for high-performance lithium-ion battery cells. This means great middle-class jobs, great middle-class careers for years to come, and clean, made-in-Canada batteries for tools used in sectors like construction and healthcare. This is where the puck is going. This is the future we are building together every single day. The climate policy is economic policy. Our government gets it, the people here get it, and the thousands of workers with good-paying jobs that will last generations because of this vision, they get it too. Everything we do is to secure the promise of Canada. That promise that every generation gets to succeed even better than the generation before. That's the promise that built this country. That's the hard work of generations creating a better future every step of the way. And we know global factors all around us are threatening that promise, not just for Canadians, but for everyone around the world. But we know here in Canada how to roll up our sleeves, how to innovate, how to see where the future is going and be part of it. That's what E-One Moli is doing here in Canada. That's what companies and workers right across the country are busy building. On s'assure à tous les jours que la promesse du Canada tienne en créant de bons emplois tout en luttant contre les changements climatiques. Parce que la lutte contre les changements climatiques et l'économie vont ensemble. Canada now ranks second in the world when it comes to the battery supply chain. We are ready to be the reliable supplier of clean energy that a net zero world will need. And that's because of our relentless efforts all together over the past 8 years. So let's continue on this path. Canada is the best country in the world. Let's keep working every day to make it even better. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Happy now to pass it over to my friend, David Eby. Premier.
Well, hello, everybody. It's so good to see you here today. I want to specifically recognize a couple of people who are here. The local elected officials, the mayor of Pitt Meadows and Maple Ridge, who are here today, and your leadership in helping us deliver this announcement today and creating communities that are welcoming to green investment. Thank you for showing a path forward to the future. And my colleagues Bob Deeth and Lisa Bear from the Legislative Assembly, local MLAs who fight hard for clean, green investments like this to benefit their community every single day. It's really nice to see you. And I want to recognize all the amazing workers who are standing behind us from E-One Moli. We wouldn't be here without you. I had a chance to chat with a couple of folks in the engineering division before this, and one of them had a big emergency stop button at his desk, and I was like, I need one of those for my desk at the office. This province, you heard it from the Prime Minister, we're incredibly proud of where we are. We are charting a course in Canada and internationally that demonstrates the strength of a commitment to a low carbon, a zero carbon future. I was talking with Chairman Chang about, where does he see, he is an entrepreneur in multiple industries, in concrete and batteries and hospitality. Where does he see the future of business from where he sits in Taiwan? And he says that industries that don't see a path, companies that don't see a path to zero carbon will not have a future. And that is absolutely right. Every industry needs to be finding ways to reduce their carbon footprint in order to ensure they have a prosperous future. And every province should be doing the same. And that's what we're doing here in British Columbia. That's what we're committed to. And what we're showing here today is that that is not just the responsible thing to do for the next generation, for our own future here in a province that has seen huge wildfires, 4 years of drought, dried up rivers, overwintering pine beetle decimating our forest industry, atmospheric rivers, heat domes killing people. We know this is where we have to go. We know this is what we have to do. And the people who suggest that we have to just accept that as the future and stop taking action are simply wrong. And we are proving them wrong today with hundreds of new clean energy jobs right here in Maple Ridge Pit Meadows. It's so exciting. I'm so glad to be a part of it. So, jurisdictions around the world are recognizing this is where we're going. And so we need to be competitive here in BC. We need to have a strong offering to make, and obviously we do. This company, E-One Moli, would not be investing in British Columbia if they didn't see a strong set of fundamentals here. A strong, well-trained workforce that's entrepreneurial and innovative. Clean energy, zero carbon hydroelectricity in abundance that will assist them in delivering batteries. A government that recognizes the importance of leveraging the investment that this company is going to make into developing the industries of the future right here in British Columbia, an $80 million commitment from the province of BC that's leveraging a more than $1 billion investment in this new facility. We are side by side with E-One Moli and with all companies that see a future like that. We have the workforce, we have the energy, we have the path and the leading plan to a low carbon future, and we are going to continue to lead the way here in British Columbia, regardless of the naysayers, because we are proving not only that it can be done, but we can do it, and we can be prosperous, and we can deliver benefits for all of these amazing people behind us and hundreds more who are going to work at the finished facility. BC is a leader. We will continue to be a leader, and I'm so glad to be standing up here with Nelson, my new friend, who has the foresight to invest here in British Columbia, to invest in our people, because we are leading the way here, and we are so glad of the international role we're playing to reduce carbon. The products that are going to be used here in consumer products, in aviation, in medical devices, the cells of the future that deliver zero carbon electricity made right here in beautiful Pit Meadows, Maple Ridge, British Columbia. Very proud of everyone involved. Thank you for your help in delivering today.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, what a day for British Columbia and obviously Maple Ridge. I was just watching, and the slogan of Moli Sen is, "The future is worth it." And I think we can all agree when we're looking around and the future that we are witnessing. So bonjour tout le monde. Prime Minister, I'd like to start with you, if I may, Prime Minister. Your vision to make Canada the green supplier of choice is taking shape across our nation, Prime Minister, in every region. And yes, British Columbia will have its battery plant, ladies and gentlemen, and I think we can applaud that, because I can tell you, thanks to the leadership, and I want everyone to know in Canada that, Prime Minister, I know that, but I want every Canadian to know that it's really thanks to your leadership, your vision, and your unwavering support that you have allowed people like me and others to attract generational investment in this country. Prime Minister, this would not happen without your help and your leadership, and I think we are all grateful for that, Prime Minister. I want to say thank you, because some people think these things happen by magic. Trust me, they happen with work and vision and leadership, and the Prime Minister has empowered us to be able to do that. Premier Eby, great to see you again. I must say, it seems that every time I see you, it's all about jobs. It's all about growth. It's all about opportunities. So I think we have to plan our next meeting very soon, Premier, because good things happen when the Prime Minister and I and colleagues are in town, because this is really historic what we're doing today. Chairman Chang, oh, I wish everyone would have dinner with you, sir. Your energy, your enthusiasm is contagious. And I know we are here today, Chairman Chang, because of your love for innovation. We are here today because of your personal involvement. We are here today because of your passion, sir. And you said something to me yesterday whilst we were having dinner to prepare this great announcement today. And you said, it started here in Maple Ridge. And that's why the decades after, we're going to invest close to $1 billion to make sure that the plan that people imagined at the time would be realized in this community. Chairman Chang, thank you for choosing us on behalf of everyone here. We're very proud to welcome you here in Canada. To my dear friend, Minister Bailey, I think it is in great part thanks to our close collaboration, Minister, that investment like these are possible. You know, when we work together, everything becomes possible, and I think this is a great testament of the work we've done with the British Columbia government. And ladies and gentlemen, there's more to come, trust me. But the Prime Minister allowed me only one announcement per day. So he said, just make sure we focus on this one today, Minister, but there is more to come for sure. To Mayor Rumi, great to see you. And I would say, my friend, to welcome Maple Ridge in the battery ecosystem in Canada. This is a big thing, you know, that Maple Ridge will be part of the battery ecosystem we have been dreaming about and building, as the Prime Minister said, and now that we are realizing. And if you want to see what $1 billion does to a community, just look at the smile of the mayor. It's going to give you a sense of what $1 billion can transform from generations to generation. You know, Maple Ridge will be associated forever with the battery ecosystem, Mayor, and you should be very, very proud of that because you've been a big part. To my BC caucus members, to Minister Wilkinson in Beach, to obviously MP McKinnon, Sarai, Dhaliwal and Baines, I just want to say thank you. You have been there at every step of the way. You have held our feet to the fire to make sure that British Columbia would be part of this ecosystem. And I want to say you have been instrumental in pushing for E-One Moli to be the latest company to establish a new battery manufacturing plant in Canada. So on behalf of everyone here, I just want to say thank you because you have been there at every step of the way. Chairman Cheng, we are so proud to be partnering with you today on a great and exciting new project that will see Maple Ridge to shine again. But before I go further, I just want to say a special thank you. A special thank you to the 100 men and women who are already working at E-One Moli, and the 350 that are going to be joining the family. It's really thanks to your knowledge, your expertise, and your excellence that we can attract investment like that. And like the Prime Minister and Premier said before, I'd like to give you a big round of applause. I can assure you there's no way you can convince Chairman Chang to make an investment of $1 billion if it's not about the people and the great people we have, and it's really thanks to you, all of you behind me on the side that are going to make this great company. You have been at the cornerstone. He told me two things yesterday. It's the people and the renewable energy that have made a difference, and you were first and foremost. So I want to thank you because there's nothing we can do without you. You're at the core of that. Évidemment, en tant que fournisseur vert de choix dans le monde, comme vous l'avez constaté depuis quelques mois, le Canada travaille fort pour attirer les bons joueurs dans l'écosystème canadien des batteries. Parce que si nous voulons que le Canada prospère dans l'économie de demain, nous devons être, mais surtout demeurer, un chef de file. Et c'est précisément pourquoi nous sommes déterminés à attirer des projets comme celui d'aujourd'hui qui vont évidemment transformer notre économie. Indeed, it's not by chance that the OECD has just ranked Canada just last week as number 3 in the world for foreign direct investment attraction, ladies and gentlemen. This is amazing that Canada is ranking now this year as the 3rd country to attract all these investment in our country. And I think it's a big testament to the vision that the Prime Minister put together that we would be the place of choice for people. And I think the investment of today is obviously a testament to that. It is because we know that if we don't act now, these investments will be made elsewhere. In my discussion with Chairman Chag, he had a choice, but he chose you. He chose to come to Maple Ridge. He chose to come to British Columbia. He chose to come to Canada. And make no mistake, the competition for these investments is fierce. And clearly, I'm proud to report to all of you, Canada is winning. And today's announcement is yet another perfect example of us winning together in this fierce battle to attract a generational investment. E-One Moli is a global leader, as you have heard from the Prime Minister and the Premier, when it comes to lithium-ion performance and sustainability. Once their new facility is completed here in Maple Ridge, it will be the, and let me insist, the largest factory in Canada for high-performance lithium-ion battery cells, nothing less, ladies and gentlemen. The future of the battery, lithium battery ion will be made right here in Maple Ridge. This is quite significant for the future and the next generation that are going to come. The Prime Minister said it will provide batteries for customers not only here in Canada, but to the world. In fact, they'll be producing 135 million of these batteries that you're seeing. And these batteries are going to power medical devices. They're going to power tools. They're going to power consumer electronics. And I can assure you, 135 million of these small batteries, that's a lot of power. And this is going to be coming from British Columbia right here. Now, E-One Moli didn't just wake up one morning and decide to come to Canada. En effet, E-One Moli ne s'est pas réveillé un beau matin pour décider de venir s'installer au Canada. They thought about it. They looked around, and they saw here what it needs to succeed. E-One Moli is here today thanks to our skilled workers. They are here today thanks to our critical minerals and renewable energy. And I want to applaud the work of my colleague, Minister Wilkinson, to put that critical mineral strategy that everyone in the world is talking about. And it's thanks to our vision and leadership as we transition to net zero. And E-One Moli is here today because they know, and you know, that there's no better place to do business than right here in British Columbia. So ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let's seize the moment. Let's be ambitious, and let's continue to leverage these transformational investments to make Canada a leading force in the economy of the 21st century. Sur ces paroles, mesdames et messieurs, je vais inviter mon ami, ma collègue et celle avec qui on a travaillé pour attirer cet investissement, la ministre Bailey de la Colombie-Britannique. Merci tout le monde.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction, Minister. It's wonderful to be here with you all for this very exciting announcement for Maple Ridge and for all of British Columbia. I, too, would like to acknowledge that we're meeting today on the territory of the Kwantlen First Nation and the Katzie First Nation. Thank you, Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Eby, Minister Champagne, for your important words. As the Minister for Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation for this beautiful province, it gives me great satisfaction to be part of such a significant announcement. I too want to express my appreciation for the partnership that's been formed with our federal government. Thank you, Prime Minister and Minister Champagne, for sharing BC's vision for stronger, cleaner West Coast economy that will continue to help build Canada's economic power. As BC continues to demonstrate, we welcome new enterprises that will strengthen our communities and create well-paying jobs for the people of BC. To Frank, Nelson, and E-One Moli, thank you for making the excellent decision to set down deeper roots in this province and taking on a massive project that will provide hundreds of sustainable, high-quality, family-supporting jobs. This project means employment closer to home for the people from Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, the Tri-Cities, and beyond, as they build battery cells that will end up in necessary, practical things like household electronics and tools, and excitingly, vertical takeoff and landing. Electrifying aviation is an important goal that we share with E-One Moli. Supporting this project means we're developing a new domestic advanced manufacturing hub and creating a supply chain that extends out from Metro Vancouver. In my role for our government and as a former software entrepreneur myself, I'm very appreciative of entrepreneurs who have a grand vision, especially when it entails innovative technology that will provide clean jobs and that will further secure British Columbia's reputation on the world stage as the perfect location for green projects that will help people all over the world as demand rises for clean energy solutions. In BC, we're committed to being a part of the solution and for ensuring that we're making the investments that people and businesses need to thrive in the places they call home. And we're doing this all over British Columbia. We're doing this with Massive Canada in Williams Lake and Accelera in the biotech sector in Vancouver. And on Friday, we announced our contribution of $7.5 million through the BC Manufacturing Jobs Fund to help Punjab Milk Foods create and establish a new South Asian dairy product processing plant in Surrey. The new equipment will result in less waste and increase efficiency and production capacity, and its predominantly female workforce will benefit with new training and growth opportunities. And we've invested $1.3 million in wood tone specialties in Armstrong for new equipment that will increase their efficiency and help them add a new product line from second growth knotty wood to help them remain competitive and employ 50 more people. And we know more projects like this are on the horizon. BC is clearly open for business with announcements like the one today. And we're looking forward to hearing from more entrepreneurs who have big dreams and who want to make it come to life here in British Columbia. Thank you. And before I introduce the next speaker, I just want to take a moment to particularly thank my JEDI team. It's a great acronym, Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, who've worked so hard in conjunction with Minister Champagne's team to make this come to fruition. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce the chairman of E-One Moli, Mr. Nelson Chang, who is also the chairman of the board for the parent company, Taiwan Cement Corp. Now, I've had about an hour to spend some time with Chairman Chang, and I can tell you he's truly a Renaissance man, and the Renaissance that he is driving now is one of low-carbon innovation. Thank you, and welcome, Minister Chang.
Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Champagne, Premier Eby, and Minister Bailey, and Mayor Rumi, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and all E-One Moli, our colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be here with us today, for all of you to show up, to share our celebration of E-One Moli return to our birthplace, Maple Ridge, British Columbia. As the creator of the world's first commercialized lithium metal battery, we at Moli have always been committed to innovations and creativity, and most of all, a special set of social values. We believe that human freedom is a chance for us to do good for others and appreciation life's fleeting nature, to leave a positive impact on the world. Despite the challenges we face today, we have the power to choose a path that will lead to a better future. We are thrilled to have chosen Maple Ridge, Canada, as a center of our green energy initiative. Together with our Canadian partners in the country, we will be working toward to producing a true green battery. By the way, Minister, I wouldn't put that in the pocket too long. It's very powerful. It's dangerous.
We call him the Energizer Bunny.
Of course, with the intendant with BC's total green renewable hydro power. We believe that CO2 reduction is absolutely the key to success for all future businesses. As we take the responsibility for our choice and their potential impacts, we at E-One Moli are committed to create a sustainable and a beautiful world. TCC obviously stands for Taiwan Cement Corporation, but it also stands for Total Climate Commitment, as well as Total Care Commitment. We believe that life is not only measured by how we live, but also by the memories we leave behind and how future generations will remember us by. Let us make a united effort to protect our environment and preserve the wonders of nature for our children and grandchildren. Together, we can make a significant difference for life on this beautiful blue planet. Once again, thank you for joining us as we embark on this exciting journey toward a more sustainable future world. Thank you very much.
So I'm batting cleanup today, so I will endeavor not to repeat everything that was said on behalf of many of our excellent and in some cases very enthusiastic speakers. I'm here to just say a couple words as a minister from British Columbia and as a member of Parliament from British Columbia, but I do want to acknowledge all of my colleagues that are here who are fierce advocates not just for their constituencies but for British Columbia's perspectives and interests in Ottawa. And I also want to recognize our old friend Dan Rumi, who, while he is now Mayor of Maple Ridge, was one of our colleagues in Ottawa between 2015 and 2019, and he was a fierce advocate for Maple Ridge during that time, and I know he continues to be right now. Certainly, British Columbia as a province has deeply felt the impacts of climate change. From fires to floods, folks who call BC home know that our climate is indeed changing. But they also know that the global fight against climate change is also rapidly transforming economies and global finance in ways that are creating enormous economic opportunities for those who are thoughtful, those who are strategic, those who have ambition and a willingness to seize those opportunities. But it all starts with accepting the scientific reality of the fact that climate is indeed changing. And that is why today's announcement is so exciting. It is another example of how investments and partnerships with thoughtful industrial players can create good jobs and economic opportunity. Here in BC, the federal government has partnered on the development of an economic strategy with the province and with Indigenous leaders through the BC Regional Energy and Resource Table. Certainly one significant opportunity we are working on together is the area of critical minerals and associated supply chains, which very much includes batteries and battery production. Today's announcement represents an investment in the promise and in the opportunity of Canada. This new facility will produce the latest generation of high-performance lithium-ion battery cells to service a whole range of applications, and perhaps most importantly, it will create very good, well-paying jobs for folks who live in Maple Ridge and across the Lower Mainland. So my thanks to E-Moli 1. Today is a good day, another step on the path to ensuring sustainability for our planet and economic prosperity for British Columbians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. We'll now begin the press conference. We have 20 minutes, one question, one follow-up. First question goes to Yvette Bend from CBC The National.
I have a question for Prime Minister Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau, have you reached out to President Xi, as President Biden has, to try to ease tensions with China? You know, if so, why? And if not, why not?
We continue to engage at multiple levels with the government of China on the trade relationship we have, but also highlighting some of the concerns we have. We know there are areas in which we can cooperate with China. A good example was our leadership around protecting biodiversity with the COP15 in Montreal on nature, which because of China and Canada leading together brought the entire world with ambitious biodiversity targets of protecting 30% of our land and oceans around the world by 2030. There are areas where we're going to have to compete with China, whether it's on battery manufacturing and reliable supply chains for the technologies of tomorrow. This announcement here today is an example of where Canada is stepping up to be that reliable supplier that the world needs. There are also areas where we're going to have to continue to challenge China, whether it's on the issues of arbitrary detention, because we all remember the two Michaels, or issues around respect for human rights. These are things that we will continue to bring up, and I will continue to engage constructively, but firmly aligned with our values.
Answer, have you reached out to President Xi?
We continue to engage, and we will continue to engage.
I'm going to ask this second question, just cognizant of time and my colleagues. It's something that we all want answers to. I'm wondering if you could answer in French as well. At the United General Assembly, how do you explain Canada supporting both a two-state society in the Middle East on one hand, and at the same time refusing to condemn settlements on the West Bank on the other?
Canada's position has long been that illegal settlements are not only against international law, but not conducive to the two-state solution that has been Canada's long-standing position. We cannot envision a future in which there is not a viable, secure, prosperous Palestinian state alongside a viable, secure, prosperous Israel. That is what Canada has always been pushing for, and that's what we will continue to advocate for. However, we've also had as a long-standing policy that the singling out of Israel at the United Nations is not helpful either to combating global anti-Semitism or to getting towards that two-state solution, and that's why we've been consistent in where we've been. Le Canada reconnaît depuis longtemps que nous avons besoin d'une solution à deux États. Un État palestinien prospère, sécure, aux côtés d'un Israël prospère et sécure. C'est pour ça que nous avons comme politique depuis longtemps que les settlements en Cisjordanie ne sont pas acceptables, sont illégales. Nous allons continuer d'avoir cette position-là parce que nous devons avoir cette solution à deux États. Mais en même temps, c'est aussi notre politique de ne pas accepter que l'Israël est continuellement visé et isolé aux Nations Unies parce que ça va contre notre lutte contre l'antisémitisme à travers le monde et ça va à l'encontre des principes d'être là pour bâtir une solution à deux États où les gens s'entendent et se rassemblent.
Negar Moshahedi, Global News. My question is for the Prime Minister. We spoke to a BC lawyer who has a database of more than 700 Iranian regime-linked insiders living freely in this country. We also spoke to other legal experts, security experts in the Iranian-Canadian community in the course of our year-long investigation. Now, they're all advocating for the same thing, to list the IRGC as a terrorist entity. Prime Minister, will you commit to listing the IRGC as a terrorist entity?
This is something that Canadian governments have looked at very, very carefully over the past over a decade. The Conservative government that took very strong positions against Iran all those years ago did not list the IRGC directly as a terrorist entity. And we continue to watch and make sure that we're able to do everything we can that is responsible against the impact of the IRGC. Canada has listed the IRGC Quds Force, for example, as a terrorist entity. One of the steps we have taken, though, as a government, just last year, was using a tool that has rarely been used in Canada, but has only been used in situations of the deepest violations of international law and indeed of crimes against humanity, in situations like in Rwanda and Bosnia, where we have used measures under the IRGC to list the senior members of the IRGC as being permanently banned from Canada. Even if there is a regime change and a vast improvement of the way the Iranian regime treats not just its people, but people around the world, those people will be banned for the rest of their lives from Canada. This is an extraordinarily strong measure, and we continue every day to look at more ways to continue to hold this terrible regime that has as its first victims its own citizens, but also is involved in terrorist attacks, including the October 7th terrorist attack against Israel on its responsibility. We will continue to stand very strongly against Iran and are always looking to do more.
With all due respect, Prime Minister, the people who spoke to us, they said that they risked their lives just to speak to us, and they are desperate for a direct answer from you. As you know, the IRGC is complicit in the killing of at least 55 Canadians in the downing of Flight 752. Could you please answer my question? Will you list the IRGC or commit to listing the IRGC as a terrorist entity, yes or no?
As I have said many, many times, the Iranian regime responsible for the shooting down of PS 752, killing of its own citizens and killing of Canadian citizens, its sponsorship of terror around the world, means that we will continue to do everything necessary, both to hold that regime to account, to limit its impact around the world, and to protect Canadians. I can tell you that the work that our security services and police agencies do to keep Canadians safe, including Canadians from diaspora communities around the world, including Iranian, will continue and will continue to step up. And I thank all of those who work with our agencies and security offices to keep people held to account and continue to move forward. Thank you.
Ma question est pour vous, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Vous avez appelé à ce que les violences cessent de façon urgente au Proche-Orient, mais ici, 52 élus municipaux en Colombie-Britannique ont signé une lettre demandant au gouvernement fédéral d'exiger un cessez-le-feu à Gaza. Allez-vous le faire?
Nous appelons depuis 2 semaines maintenant pour des pauses humanitaires ou une pause humanitaire significative qui va permettre à envoyer de l'aide à Gaza, de faire sortir les citoyens étrangers et aussi assurer la libération des otages. Nous avons besoin que la violence cesse, nous avons besoin de pouvoir travailler ensemble pour établir des pistes vers la stabilité dans la région et nous travaillons avec nos partenaires à travers le monde pour le faire.
My second question is for Mr. Eby. Mr. Eby, 52 local government leaders in BC signed a letter to ask the federal government for a ceasefire in Gaza. Will the province do the same?
The residents of British Columbia have been watching with incredible concern the developments in the Middle East. Obviously, the terror attacks on October 7th, killing innocent people in their homes, killing children, taking hostages. And now in Gaza, the bombings, the deaths of innocent children and women, the denial of food and water and access to humanitarian goods. Obviously, the province of BC is not in a position to deliver peace in the Middle East. This is a long-standing conflict, but we can absolutely stand for peace and call for peace and for an end to this horrific run of death in this part of the world. For my part as Premier, my focus is on the people of British Columbia, and what we're seeing here is an increase in hate, an increase in division. People from the Muslim community reporting Islamophobic attacks, people from the Jewish community reporting swastikas painted on the side of synagogues, anti-Semitic attacks. And we are currently working with both communities to deliver increased resources for British Columbians who face hate, who face divisive attacks, because our strength here, as you can see in today's announcement, is our diversity, our openness, our international willingness to welcome everybody and to be a peaceful place where people can celebrate their religions and their cultures free from fear. And that will remain a priority for me and for our government going forward.
Hi, I'm Kieran with City News Vancouver on City TV. My question is for the Prime Minister. A couple of Maple Ridge City councillors are among the people that signed on to an open letter calling on the federal government to call for a ceasefire. Some of those councillors, 2 of which are maybe here in this room, they're Maple Ridge councillors. They've, they say that you're not going far enough by only causing for a sustained humanitarian pause. Could you kind of explain plainly why you won't go as far as calling for a ceasefire?
I think we can all agree we want to see an end to the violence in the Middle East. There's no debate around that. And I celebrate the freedom of expression that we continue to have as Canadians to speak up and express our concerns, our fears, our desire to see a solution. Canada is unequivocal in the work we're doing on 2 levels. One, to try and contribute to an end to the violence and a peaceful resolution in the Middle East, both in the short term, medium, and long term, which is why we continue to be committed to the two-state solution, even more so than ever before. But the second responsibility, which is fundamental for any Canadian government, is to keep Canadians safe. To have Canadians remember who we are. We are not a country who paint hateful symbols on our neighbors' homes. We're not a country who make Jewish kids going to school feel unsafe to publicly mourn the hostages and their dead relatives. We're not a country that attacks with vile hatred someone proudly showing their Palestinian roots or waving a Palestinian flag. This country was made by people who came from every part of the world, partially because they could be safe here in Canada. Because we can live beside neighbors who are totally different from each other and know that even though we may not agree on politics or on specific issues, we all agree to live together in respect and understanding and compassion. And right now, the horrific images we're seeing, the grief people are feeling, the fear they're feeling from around the world, here in Canada, are causing Canadians to lash out at each other. Not only is that not who we are, it's not us living up to the responsibility we carry as Canadians. We are one of the places in the world that has figured out better than just about anybody else how to be strong, not in spite of our differences, but because of those differences. How to flourish in diversity. And if we can't figure out how to stop being mad at our neighbors here in Canada, who in the world will? That's the question that we have to be asking ourselves every day. Not always this magic solution or that magic solution said by a Canadian Prime Minister going to suddenly bring peace to the Middle East overnight. No, that's not what this is about. This is about us remembering that when a kid feels scared to go to school in the morning because of their religion, because of their ethnicity, that's not just on the government, that's on all of us to say it stops now. So my biggest concern is how we bring Canadians together. How we understand that the rise in anti-Semitism in our communities and around the world is not okay and is against everything that Canada stands for. And how we understand that the rise in Islamophobia in our communities and around the world is against everything we stand for. That's my focus. And I understand all sorts of people have different proposals on how we can make this done. But it starts fundamentally with listening to each other, not looking for easy solutions because there are none, but doing the work every day of reaching out to people who are different from ourselves and building the communities of empathy that we've always been able to define ourselves through.
On a slightly different topic, my colleague Lisa Yusta was wondering if you and Premier Eby have been planning on having any other face-to-face meetings. I think last week Premier Eby was at best maybe frustrated about the lack of conversation and cooperation about infrastructure and creating housing, that kind of thing.
Oh, I think, listen, Premier Eby and I talk regularly, and more than that, our ministers are working constantly together. There are a few places in the country that are as aligned as we are on the need to respond concretely to all the challenges people are facing now and into the future. We've done some great work on housing together. We're continuing to work on significant affordability challenges together. We're working on the energy transition. We're working on the transformation of our economy to bring those great jobs from the resource sector to the knowledge economy to manufacturing to all the different areas that BC excels in. Don't worry, there are going to be lots more announcements in the coming months and years as we work together, because there's a lot we get to do together, and I can't wait for it. David.
This week, maybe next week?
Thanks.
Sorry, Josh Jane with the Canadian Press. My question is for the Prime Minister. Regarding the UN vote on the not condemning the settlements, are we at risk of losing credibility with the Global South, considering that other allies like Britain and France have supported the measure in UN?
What we see right now is a situation that has changed deeply since Hamas's horrific attack on October 7th. We made a careful decision to align our votes and to shift our votes on the UNRWA resolution in support of Palestinians, as Canada was one of the very first countries to step up with significant humanitarian aid, about $60 million worth of aid for Palestinians in Gaza, because we see how dire the situation is. And we will continue to stand unequivocally, as we always have, against illegal settlements. They don't contribute to the two-state solution. They're actually impediments to it. And they don't contribute to safety or stability for either Palestinians or Israelis. And that is a long-standing position that we've been shouting from the rooftops. However, the continued singling out of Israel at the UN is something that Canada has always taken issue with, and we will continue to stand up clearly alongside our values.
And sorry, Prime Minister, one quick follow-up. At what point would Canada consider expanding or looking at getting members of Canadians' extended families out of Gaza outside of the current specific definitions of what a family member are eligible?
Listen, the situation in Gaza is horrific, and we are trying to get Canadians and their families out. I know the ministers are looking at what we can do to help as broadly as possible, and we'll continue. I'm certain the ministers will continue to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes today's press conference.